Hi, so let's talk free birth. I just realized I'm drinking this green juice, which was a little bit of a silly choice to do right before I decided to film because I think my teeth and tongue are a little green. So it's not because I don't brush my teeth, it's because I'm drinking green juice. Anyway, let's get into it. Why did I choose, and will choose again, to free birth? It might not be what you think, so stay with me. You know, I could get into all the risks and all the things that happen when one chooses to birth in a hospital setting where they are not fully in control of their environment. And that is a conversation perhaps worth having. But I don't often make choices for my life based off of something that I want to avoid. Instead, I choose to make choices for my life based off of something that I'd like to gain or create. So what do I mean by that? I was talking to my community last night on a community call, and I was talking about the idea that we often in our minds tend to go to worst case scenario situations, right? So I notice a swollen lymph node. Oh no, that means I have cancer. Or, okay, if I decide to quit my job, what if I can't find another job? Or what if I can't find another job that pays me as well? Or if my husband and I split, I'll never love again. Or, I mean, I could list so many different things. And this is sort of our knee-jerk reaction. And it makes sense because it's there to sort of protect us. But I feel that there's so much joy available when we train ourselves to think in the opposite way. So instead of what bad thing could possibly happen if I gave birth in a hospital or if I gave birth at home, how good could it get? What is available for me? What's the best possible thing available for me in this situation? So when it came to my birth with my first baby Cedar, and I'm pregnant again right now, and will be giving birth again this afternoon, this fall. I start from the position of how freaking good could it be for me? What is the best possible outcome? How much bliss and joy and ease and peace could I possibly discover and experience in my birth experience? So most of us, I assume, who are watching this, live in a Western world, and we have been conditioned to think certain things about birth, right? Birth is traumatic, it's insanely painful, it's the worst possible experience of a woman's life in terms of pain. It's not ever portrayed very pleasantly on movies or TV shows. In fact, it's quite scary. It's very scary. And I wondered when I found out I was pregnant with my first and planning my birth, if any of that was true. And I have been in this health world for quite some time and have been understanding the body, understanding what symptoms mean, understanding what disease means, understanding the root cause of all of these things. And so over the years have gained quite a lot of trust in my body. See last video for reasons why I've gained so much trust in my body. And so when it came to birth, I very much started with the belief that birth is a natural biological process, much like my heart beating, much like my lungs breathing, much like when I sit down on the toilet in the morning and go number 2. These are things that just happen without need for intervention, without need for experts, without need for me even to really do anything consciously whatsoever, right? My heart beats without me thinking about it. And the body births without us needing to think much about it. Did you know that women in comas have given birth? Right? Because again, we don't we don't need to be consciously aware of this experience. There's something, if you're unfamiliar with it, known as the fetal ejection reflex. And it's this reflex that your body will eject your baby. I actually experienced that with my first one. I didn't push up until the very, very end, which helps with not tearing, amongst other things. I don't want to get too off track. This could be another video for another time if you want to hear more about my thoughts or opinions on this topic. But I was in labor, and it got to a certain point where I felt like I just absolutely could not bear down, sort of like, again, when you're going number 2, it just happens, right? You just feel an overwhelming sensation. You cannot stop this. There is no stopping it. It's coming out. And that's what happened to my baby. I mean, whoosh, just right out. One bear down, one slight push, opening, and out he came. And so the body gives birth. And the body gives birth just like the body heals all of its symptoms in a setting that feels most peaceful and safe. And I think a lot of the issue that I feel with choices to give birth in a setting that's not at home, and again, I'm never casting judgment. I'm just sharing my opinion. I'm sharing why I make the choices. This is me talking, and also based off of a good amount of research. I'm a doula as well, a trained doula. A good amount of research that I've done. But of course, in all situations, always, you do what you feel is best. I sincerely mean that. Anyway, I think that why it can be challenging and interventions often occur and trauma often occurs in a hospital setting is because for most people, a hospital setting is inherently not a place where you feel to relax, right? There's a saying, the best way to birth a baby into the world is the same way you got the baby inside of you. So in a quiet, intimate, safe, peaceful setting is where we make babies. And in a quiet, peaceful, intimate setting is ideally the best place to birth a baby out peacefully without need for intervention. And that does require that we start as women before we come to the birthing process, before we find ourselves, in labor, with a sense of confidence and trust that birth is an inherently safe, natural, biological process that unfolds so very beautifully in a safe and peaceful environment, the vast majority of the time. And so knowing that, having a deep confidence that me being pregnant, which would ultimately mean that I would give birth with my first baby, and knowing that birth was not a medical event. We have made it a medical event, but it's not inherently a medical event. Women have given birth always, all throughout history, at home, on their own, perhaps with other women around them, in different scenarios depending on the culture, and have done so beautifully, because now we are an earth populated with 8 billion people, and that is because women have given birth and have given birth at home very, very successfully. And so I trusted this process. I trusted this process deeply and really believed that, just like I have come to find in my work and in my life, that healing is best facilitated in a state where harmony, again, peace, comfort, safety exists. These are healing energies. And what a lot of people tend to live in, and what we tend to birth in, is stress and cortisol and not safety, which what happens in the body when you're in a state of stress and fight and flight is the bodily functions slow down or cease all together. So digestive issues are very common with people who are chronically stressed because the digestive system slows down. It stops working appropriately because there are other bodily functions that require our energy more in a state of stress, right? You're being chased by a lion. The most important thing right now is not that you properly digest your lunch, but it's that you run, right? You run as fast as you can. All the energy you can muster goes to your legs and your limbs and your heart and your lungs so that you can get out of danger. And this is exactly how people exist. And this is often what it feels like to give birth when we're afraid of birth or in an environment that doesn't feel safe and peaceful. The body is not as equipped to open and release and eject a baby as it is when it's in a setting that's peaceful and calm and safe and familiar. And so I chose to give birth at home, and I choose to give birth at home on my own because I tend to be a person who's very involved with the emotions and the experiences of other people. And so knowing myself, I know that if there was another person or persons present at my birth, I would be very much, how are they doing? Are they wanting to go home? Are they hungry? Do they want dinner? Are they wondering why this is taking forever? What are they thinking about me right now? Right? This is sort of how very, very, very conscious of people around me and concerned with how they're doing, their well-being. This is why I'm not a very good client for a massage, because I can't relax very well when I'm getting a massage because I'm wondering the same things. Does this woman like her job? Does she want to be doing this right now? Would she rather be somewhere else? I wonder if she's hungry. These are the things going on in my head while I'm supposed to be relaxing. Anyway, and so knowing that about myself, I knew that for me to be most relaxed, which would be the number one most important thing for oxytocin to flow through my body, to help me progress in labor and to help me push or release my baby out and to help me heal up my womb and all of the things that happen in labor and birth, would be for me to be alone, or to be alone plus my husband, who of course I feel very safe and comfortable around. And so that is what I chose. And if you know my story, you know it turned out so very beautifully, and I'm so very excited to experience it again with my second one this fall. And again, I'm taking this approach of this is a natural biological process that I'm not afraid of. I'm not afraid of it. Despite what we've been told, I am not afraid of birth. I'm very confident in it. I'm very confident in my body, and I'm curious to see how blissful, how joyful, how exciting and transformative this next experience could be for me. And it just doesn't feel like a way I choose to live my life, to worry about the worst case scenarios. Because here's the reality. Life is outside of our control in many ways, right? I could get in the car tomorrow and never come home. My husband could go to work tomorrow and never come home. And I could give birth at home or in a hospital and never come home. These things are ultimately beyond our control. And so I choose to not worry about those things because it doesn't bring me a life that I love to live, to be chronically worried about things outside of my control. But it does feel like a life I love to live, to always be open and exploring how much better things could be than what I've been told or what I've previously experienced or whatever. How good could this get? How much ease is available for me in this experience? What if birth isn't traumatic? And what if, just what if, my birth could be one of the highlights of my life? What if I could laugh and sing and dance and and be safely in the peace of my home. During my last birth, my husband was downstairs baking cookies, and so there was chocolate chip cookies wafting up through the house while I was in labor, and it was just peaceful and lovely and safe and good. It was just good. And so how good could things be? And so I challenge you, perhaps if you're open to a challenge, to, whether it's your birth or anything, a healing, whatever it is, to consider, what if the best possible outcome was to happen from this? What if this symptom meant healing? What if your body knows exactly what it's doing? What if your body is the result of generations after generations after generations of people who survived, of cells that have adapted, of a body that has been perfectly, intelligently, intentionally designed to live, to get pregnant, to birth, to heal, to go through menopause, all of it. What if all of it is perfect? And much of our struggle in these things is our perception of them and our intervention of natural processes. And so that's why I free birth, because I trust my body, really, that simply. I trust my body, and I'm excited to I'm excited to experience how good it can be, how fun it could be. And I like to snuggle into bed, just move from my bathroom into bed with my new little baby, and don't have to get in a car, and just the whole process seems so much more easeful and joyful for me. So anyway, hopefully that gave you something to think about. If you have any thoughts, questions, anything, let me know in the comments. Otherwise, I'll see you on the next video I feel to make.